The sun was sinking behind the fields when the biker stumbled into the dusty, forgotten edge of town, the rumble of his motorcycle sputtering like a dying heartbeat. He hadn't eaten in 2 days. His club vest, once a symbol of rebellion, brotherhood, and loyalty, felt heavier than the hunger gnawing inside him. With every mile he had ridden alone, the world had reminded him that he had lost almost everything. But fate has a strange habit of showing up in small, unexpected moments. And on this particular evening, it arrived in the form of a collapsing farmhouse and an old woman who stood outside it, staring helplessly at her broken roof, as if it were the final blow she couldn't endure. If you believe in kindness, humanity, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. It means the world to this channel and helps us bring more stories like this to life. He had planned only to pass through the town, maybe find a place to rest his tired bones, but as he rode past the old woman, he saw the kind of exhaustion in her eyes that mirrored his own. She wasn't just sad, she looked defeated. He pulled the bike to a stop. The growl of the engine faded into the quiet evening as he noticed how she clutched her hands together, whether in prayer or despair, he couldn't tell. Something inside him, something buried under years of bad choices, patches, scars, and rides into nothingness softened. He approached her with the familiar swagger of a biker, but behind it was the weight of loneliness. She looked up, startled but not afraid, her silver hair glowing in the warm light. He asked, in a voice roughened by wind and hardship, what had happened. She told him her roof was falling apart, and a storm was coming that night. She didn't have money. She didn't have help. All she had were memories of the husband who used to fix everything for her, until life took him too soon. He looked at the roof, then at her trembling hands. Hunger gnawed at him again, reminding him why he had stopped. So he made an offer, not one of charity, but of survival. If she had food, he had hands. If she trusted him, he'd climb up there and do what he could. What neither of them knew was that this small exchange would alter both of their lives. The smell of warm soup drifted from her kitchen as he pulled on his glove and grabbed the few tools she had managed to keep over the years. The house creaked beneath him as he climbed. The shingles crumbled like burnt paper. The wood beneath him cracked. The job was bigger than he expected, but he worked anyway. Each strike of the hammer, releasing a bit of frustration, regret, and anger he had carried for far too long. Sweat dripped down his temples, dust coated his arms and clung to the ink of the tattoos that marked his past. But he kept going, because for the first time in a long time, someone had looked at him not with fear, but with hope. As the golden light of the evening deepened, the old woman stood by her yard, wringing her hands, watching him with glistening eyes. She didn't know his story, only that a stranger had appeared when she needed someone most. Once, long ago, she and her husband had taken in travelers who needed a meal or a place to rest. She never imagined someone would repay that kindness when she was old and alone. He worked until the stars began peeking through the clouds. He patched what he could, reinforced the weak beams, and laid down the last of the shingles. It wasn't perfect, but it was strong enough to withstand the storm. When he climbed down exhausted, she handed him a bowl of hot soup as if it were the most precious gift she had ever been able to offer. He ate slowly, savoring every bite. Not because the soup was good, though it was rich and warm, but because it was the first real meal he had enjoyed that wasn't eaten alone in a long time. When he finished and prepared to leave, she gently placed her fragile hand over his and thanked him in a trembling voice. That small gesture stopped him cold. He hadn't felt softness like that. Genuine gratitude since before his life had spiraled into violence, loyalty tests, and endless rides to nowhere. Something shifted in him then, something he hadn't expected. The memory of who he used to be before the world hardened him. The storm rolled in that night. The rain hammered down, but the roof held strong. He stayed on her porch, sheltering from the downpour, listening to her hum an old lullaby as she made tea. They talked until the storm passed. She told him about her life, her love, her losses. He told her things he hadn't told anyone. And in the quiet hours before dawn, an unlikely bond formed between them two. People broken in different ways, stitched together by a moment of chance. When morning came, he started his bike, ready to ride again. But before he left, she slipped a small package into his hands, homemade bread, a few apples, and a note written in careful, shaky handwriting. It didn't say much, just 4 simple words. You made me safe. He rode off with the wind in his hair and her words in his heart. Every mile felt lighter. For the first time in years, he realized he wasn't running anymore. He was moving forward. A few weeks later, the town would tell the story of a leather-clad stranger who arrived hungry and left as someone's hero. Some said he returned months later to help fix more things around her home. Some said he brought others with him, and some swore the old woman's house became a quiet meeting place not for trouble, but for men who wanted to turn their lives around. And maybe all of it was true, because kindness, once sparked, has a way of catching fire and spreading farther than anyone expects. If this story touched your heart in any way, please like the video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe for more uplifting stories. Before the ending, please comment below. Kindness lives on. In the end, people remembered not the biker's vest or the reputation of the club he had once ridden with, but the simple act of compassion that transformed both him and the woman he helped. And somewhere out on the open road, with the sun rising behind him and the world unfolding ahead, a man rediscovered the pieces of himself he thought he had lost forever.